Hey everyone, we're here again on the floor of Black Hat. You know, it's funny, it's a very interesting show floor. You walk in and, it's so loud. There's so many bells and lights and whistles, but we found a little bit of a quiet area. We actually did, truth be told, we kicked a guy out who was doing a demo here from Absolute Software.
We nudged him gently.
All right. Christy Wyatt, Absolute Software, here is my guest on TechStrong TV. Truth be told, she nudged him.
Gently.
Gently, we'll say gently. So we're here with Absolute Software, as I say, with Christy Wyatt. Christy, first of all, thanks for coming on TechStrong TV with me today. Secondly, here's our audience. Tell them the Christy Wyatt story.
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. I'm the president and CEO of Absolute. I've been with the company for about 7 years. Software developer way back in the day. I've spent many years in Silicon Valley. So Palm, for those who remember Palm Pilots, Motorola, Apple, JavaSoft back in the day. I was at Citigroup for a period of time.
Really?
Insider threat company called DTEX. I had a company called Good Technology. So I've done lots of different things, and now we're here with Absolute.
Very cool. Assume our audience doesn't know Absolute. How would you just give us the Absolute story then?
I like to say Absolute is the coolest cybersecurity company nobody's ever heard of. We have a very tiny piece of technology that's embedded in the BIOS and has been for the last 15 years of almost every PC on the planet.
Really?
And so what that really gives you is kind of an unbreakable connection to that device once it's activated. And so the way we use that is a whole host of different ways, but always with a focus on creating endpoint resilience. That's really a category we've sort of created and have been evangelizing for about 7 years now. So we can use this to track and manage devices from the firmware. We can use this to monitor the health of your overall security posture, heal applications if they stop working. So make sure that your security apps are always working. We do something called rehydration, which means if the OS or the devices become overcome or non-responsive, BSOD or ransomware, again, we wake up before the operating system so we can remediate things that may be happening in the device and kind of put you back together, all remotely, all without user intervention. And then
we did this so many times.
We have a big Zero Trust product as well, and our SASE product called Secure Access. So we'll do a lot of different things.
And it's all in the BIOS. It's not on is it in the silicon?
So it's usually in the unflashable part of the firmware. We do have products across operating systems on endpoints, but we're in the unflashable part of the firmware, mostly on Microsoft products. Our Mac OS and Chromebook products operate slightly differently because their architecture is a little bit different. Yeah.
You know, it's funny. I was walking around, people you meet at Black Hat. I ran into my friend Alan Friedman. I don't know if you know Alan. He's from, he just left CISA.
Okay.
But Alan is the father of SBOMs, Software Bill of Materials. His new thing is called HBOMs.
Yeah.
Hardware Bill of Materials. I would imagine this is something Absolute Software would be perfect for.
So we've been doing this for a long time because we are embedded in the firmware and we have amazing partners like, Dell, Lenovo, HP, Microsoft. I mean, there's 28 different hardware providers that we've been working very deeply with over several decades. Some of our customers actually activate this capability in the BIOS at manufacturing, which means they can actually track the device from the time it takes its first breath, virtual breath.
First hello.
All the way to the time it reaches your hands. And it also gives you the ability to see a lot of telemetry about what's going on in the device from within the BIOS that a lot of other platforms wouldn't be able to see.
It's an amazing tool, Now, I'm going to imagine you sell directly to PC and Mac and, Chromebook manufacturers.
No. This is a commonly held, so our great hardware ecosystem are great resellers of our products, but we sell direct to enterprise as well. In fact, we have over, 18,000 customers, everything from small business all the way up through global enterprise and federal customers. So there's a lot of different ways you can buy from your MSP, from practically any reseller, from any PC manufacturer. And you can activate it on any device you have. So you don't have to activate it at the time you purchase the product. You can activate us across all of your existing assets, no matter how old, because we've been doing this a long time.
But it's built into every BIOS, but it's built into all of these BIOSes.
Yeah.
And it's could we use the word dormant until it's turned on?
Right. So we don't see these devices until somebody has installed an absolute activated product, and it will activate that capability in the firmware. And then from that point, that device is very aware, self-aware, and very aware that it is kind of connected to your enterprise. So you can, when we talk about self-healing, right, we really talk about rooted in the hardware self-healing. So we're not just trying to save ourselves, like a lot of anything that's running at the OS and application level is really kind of preserve themselves. They really can't heal themselves. If you're dead, you're dead. Right? I think the difference between us is we're in the hardware. So to us, self-healing means I can rip out the hard drive, put in a new hard drive, and the very first thing that device will do is it will wake up and say, wait a minute, something's missing, and we'll get stood back up. We extend that concept of self-healing to our entire ecosystem of partners. So whether it's CrowdStrike or Tanium or literally any security or many enterprise applications, we'll make sure that they're always there and always running. We actually have a research report we've been putting out for about 6-7 years now called our Resilience Index. And in that, we actually show across millions of devices the actual resilience score for most applications. While organizations may think, hey, I've installed encryption, I've installed my XDR across 100% of my install base, it's probably only active and running on maybe 70, maybe 80% if they're doing a good job. Things happen all the time, right? And it's not just about patching and vulnerability management. It could be the user tampering. It could be just an upgrade got installed. There's a whole host of reasons why endpoints go dark.
Blue.
Or blue, and you really don't have time to send an alert to a human being and have them come. This is really why we believe that the last point of resilience has to be on the device. The device has to be intelligent and self-aware.
And we've seen such an emphasis on resilience lately, right? We can't prevent everything.
True.
No matter how hard we try. Resilience is the key. And it's funny, this is not necessarily new. It's been there.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like Dorothy clicking her heels. It was there the whole time,
It was there the whole time. Well, to be fair, I think the company has been doing this for a long time, but the use cases historically have really been around visibility and control. So it's ironic that in this age where we're talking about some pretty sophisticated threats, one of the biggest things that people really struggle with is where's my stuff? Right? There's a big OS refresh coming in front of a lot of us. People don't know where their assets are. They don't know what state they're in. They don't know how to get to them. I think that that's a long time been our focus, is making sure you always have that hard connection. You know where it is. You can remotely manage it and remediate it. It was really about 7 years ago, and it was because I had come from another endpoint agent technology company. And too often something bad would happen, and we'd say, oh, let's go check the logs. And surprise, surprise, that device stopped calling in a couple of weeks ago and nobody really noticed. Yes, it threw an alert. Yes, somebody tried to fix it, but people are busy, right? We don't have enough people to go fix all of these things. And so the light bulb just sort of went off that you have this capability to heal things from within. Now, this was pre-COVID, pre-work from home, VSOD event, pre-AI, but I think that it's even more relevant today. If we think about the speed at which breaches and attacks are going to happen, our last line of defense is at the edge. It's where the fingers touch the keyboard.
I agree with you 100%. You mentioned AI, you mentioned, so in my mind, post-COVID, things changed. The world changed. AI has been harbinger of a huge change.
Yeah.
How is that playing into the absolute vision?
There's a bunch of different ways, aside from, we'll sort of start with, there was this myth. We all sort of convinced ourselves for like a decade that any data that was of any value to us all lived in the cloud, and that the endpoint devices were just sort of non-intelligent transactional things.
Back to the dumb terminal.
Disposable, right? If you talk to someone and said, I could restore your endpoint device, they'd go, who cares? All my data's in the cloud. I think that, first of all, that was never true, right? People were creating all sorts of unique data and insights on the device itself. Second of all, in the age of AI, where you have a lot of new content being created and context being created, your digital twin, your digital fingerprint, and the point of compromise is probably on that endpoint. You can't afford for the intelligence to be sitting in the cloud. You can't wait for your next instruction. the attack is going to happen in 5-7 seconds.
Or less.
You need to find a way, and I think there's a lot of really great innovation going on across the cybersecurity ecosystem about how to move more of that intelligence into agentic tools down to the endpoint, to the edge. We're the thing that makes it stick. Not aside from the way that we use our own data and are applying AI within our own products, I think the more AI-enabled tools you deploy at the endpoint, the more critical it is that you have that undeletable connection. Here's the thing. We're going to get some of it wrong. People are going to trial and they're experiment. They're going to push out new things. Things will go wrong, and they'll go wrong quickly. And so if you don't have that digital heartbeat, that connection to that device, I call this participating in your own rescue. Like when you call me and you say, hey, you're in the BIOS and everything just went blue or everything just went black, or we have a ransomware, my question is going to be, did you activate us? Like, did you turn on the lifeline? If the beacon's on, right, there's probably something we can do.
That's a great way of saying it. So, it's funny. So everyone out here watching this actually already has Absolute installed, probably. It may not be activated.
True.
Beacon may not be on. So that begs the question. What can they, other than going through channel partners that you mentioned, is there anything they could do to turn the beacon on?
So first of all, there's a whole host of different ways. You can come see us here at Black Hat. You can go to absolute.com, right? There's opportunities there. Literally any PC manufacturer, most channel partners, there's no shortage of both applications that have the ability to, because there's a variety of different ways to turn it on, to activate it. So there's a whole host. There's no lack of ways. I would say go to absolute.com and all things will be revealed.
Excellent. Last question. What do you think of Black Hat so far?
I mean, aside from it's chaotic, as it always is. It's chaotic, but I think things are happening so quickly, right? And I think the top of mind for everybody here is just the rate of change, right? I think we're all very excited about AI. I think somebody in the CISO summit yesterday said the words fascinating and terrifying in the same sentence, which I thought was profoundly true. I think that as things unfold, there's tremendous opportunity. I also think there's tremendous risk, and we're all sort of painfully aware of it. I have huge respect for all of the constituents that are participating here, because I think everybody's working their hardest to figure out how we all kind of band together and respond to, digital workers and, tainted data in your LLMs. It's craziness. Right.
You've been around, I've been around. I've seen the advent of cloud. I remember when cell phones became a thing. I remember when the internet became a thing. And we all had these, sometimes they were probably rose-colored glasses visions of how great everything will be. But my experience anyway, getting from here to there, there's always bumps in that road that we don't anticipate or we didn't see coming. And there will be here too, as you say. I think people are cautiously optimistic. How does that sound? Or terrifying? And,
I don't know. I think it's inevitable. And so, I like to say that there's not a lot of benefit in having what I call the Muppet debate. I don't know if you remember the Muppets, the two guys on the balcony, like, it's going to take all the jobs. It's going to be fine. I think the answer is it's here and it's happening. It's happening with your employees. It's happening with your customers. And so there's a tremendous opportunity to kind of participate and sit down and figure out what is the best way to apply this to accelerate our businesses, but also to help mitigate the risk. And so there's a lot to talk about there.
I agree with you. A lesson I've learned in 30 years of security. The market doesn't wait for security. Security has to catch the market.
Right.
And I think that's what we're seeing here as well.
Absolutely.
Anyway, best of luck. It is absolute.com. That's ABSOLUTE.com. Check it out. We're here at Black Hat. We'll have more. Stay tuned.
All right.